They didn't warn me. They didn't knock. Hell, they didn't even bother pretending to ask permission. 1 minute, my Saturday morning was rolling along slow as syrup, old dog stretching in the sun, kettle just starting to whistle, and the next, I heard the whine of chainsaws tearing through the air like a bad omen. Stepping outside, all I saw was a hillside littered with the splinters of my oak trees I'd planted for my daughter, lying there in pieces, cut down like they were nothing but weeds. And standing right in the middle of it was Linda Carpenter, HOA president, silver hair bob sharp as a cleaver, smirk on her face like she just won a prize fight. She tells me my trees were blocking the community view, and the board had full authority to make it right. What Linda didn't know was those trees weren't just sentimental. No, they were a protected watershed buffer, a living wall holding that slope together. The moment her hired crew took them down, the earth started to slip. Drainage channels opened up, the ground went soft, sliding right toward the houses below. So when the federal flood control trucks rolled up, tires crunching, maps out, emergency tape flapping in the wind, and slapped a protected zone right across my property, the HOA didn't argue or threaten. They panicked. I still remember that sound before I understood what it meant, mechanical growl that had no place in the slow heartbeat of a weekend. My house usually wakes up gentle, sun crawling over the porch. But that day, the air vibrated with purpose. I was halfway through making coffee when the floor trembled. I figured maybe the landscaping guys the HOA loves so much were back. Then the noise shifted, turned violent, and came that sickening, hollow crack, the sound of a tree dying. My gut dropped. I slammed my mug down, coffee everywhere, and didn't even bother to clean it up. Some old instinct from my Army Corps days kicked in. You hear something falling apart, you move. I tore out the back door. The cold hit me first, then the bite of diesel and torn earth. I rounded the corner and just froze. 3 men in orange vests, 2 chainsaws, 1 wood chipper, 5 of my trees already nothing but pieces on the grass. It felt unreal, like if I didn't say it out loud, maybe it wouldn't be true. These weren't landscaping. They were anchors, planted the week my daughter was born. I'd carved her first height mark into the smallest one, taught her to climb the tallest. Every memory I had in that yard was rooted in those trunks. Now the roots were ripped open, raw as broken bones. I walked up to the nearest worker. "What the hell are you doing?" He didn't even flinch. "HOA order," he said, jerking his chin toward the street. "Take it up with them." So I did. There they were, Linda and 3 board members, clipboards in hand, arms folded, looking like generals on a battlefield. Linda front and center, smile tighter than piano wire. When she saw me coming, she wasn't guilty. She was irritated. "Good morning, mister." "Hail," she said, voice sweet as poison. "We're making corrections to bring your property into compliance." I stared at her, shocked. "Compliance? You just murdered my trees without so much as a heads up." She just blinked slow. "Section 14.3b, she droned. "Any vegetation obstructing community sight lines or posing maintenance issues is subject to HOA remediation." I fired back. "That's not what it says. Even if it did, you need written notice and homeowner consent. You can't just trespass." But then came another crack behind me. Another tree down, my voice caught in my throat. Sawdust was drifting through the air. I lunged forward, angry as I've ever been, and one of the board members, Douglas, threw up his hand like I was the threat. "Sir, you need to calm down." "Calm down," I said. "You are destroying my property." "It's community aesthetic," Linda said, not missing a beat. "Your trees have been a recurring complaint at multiple meetings." "What meetings? I was never notified." She shrugged. "Perhaps you should attend more regularly." I'd gone to every meeting until last year, till I got sick of being ignored whenever I raised real issues. They didn't want solutions, just control. I turned to the workers, told them to shut it down. One hesitated, the other looked at Linda. She nodded. "Continue." "You're authorized." The saws screamed back to life. I stepped closer to the stumps, heart pounding. Those trees held the back slope for 20 years. Without them, every storm would send water sheeting through. Did any of you even think about erosion? Drainage? Slope stability? Douglas just shrugged. The landscapers said it'd be fine. He wasn't a hydrologist, and Linda let out a sigh like I was being dramatic. Mr. Hale, we don't need a hydrologist for a few decorative trees. Decorative? That word landed like a punch. They're not decorations. They're structural. She laughed. Now you're being ridiculous. I snapped. Stop cutting. I planted myself in front of the last tree. Linda just curled her lip. If you continue interfering, we will fine you for obstructing HOA enforcement. A dangerous calm settled in me. You're trespassing. You're destroying protected trees, and you're violating municipal code. I hope you know what you've started. Her smirk flickered, just for a second. Then crack, the last tree, my daughter's tree, hit the ground. I felt the earth shudder and tasted something bitter. Linda cleared her throat. The correction is complete. File a complaint if you believe this was improper. They turned, walked away, clipboards under their arms. No remorse. Workers packed up, left. The yard felt hollow, violated. I pressed my fingers to a stump, felt the soil already shifting. This isn't over, I whispered. Didn't know then how right I was. Because the HOA hadn't just destroyed landscaping. They destroyed the one thing keeping that hillside stable. And that mistake was about to bring down a storm they never saw coming. By next morning, my yard looked like an open wound. The silence was wrong. No rustling leaves, just raw brightness, every flaw exposed. I walked the perimeter before sunrise, the way I used to walk riverbanks before a storm. I saw motion waiting to happen. At the bottom, where the slope met the runoff channel, the soil gave way under my fingers. Wet cake, 3 inches, 5 just caving in. The root grid was gone. The ground was breathing its last stable breath. I stood, looking up the ridge, hillside graded decades ago, trees planted as living retaining walls. Worked fine as long as those trees stood. Now, nothing to slow the next storm. Water remembers, we used to say. It finds its old channels. Those trees were never optional. My phone buzzed, a neighbor Charles texting. Saw what happened. HOA went too far. You okay? I told him. Not really. They just created a serious hazard. Sent him a photo. Textbook slope failure. Next rail storm, the lower yards take the hit. He texted back. They can't just do that, right? I messaged Maya McConnell, city environmental analyst, worked with her years ago. Maya, HOA cut 7 mature trees. Soil destabilizing. Photos attached. Think the city will care. 5 minutes later, she called. Tell me this is a sick joke. No joke. Those were native hardwoods anchoring the curve, she said. If they remove them without a permit, that's a violation, city and state level. Document everything, she ordered. File for inspection Monday. If you're right, this isn't just an HOA problem. It's watershed protection territory. My pulse settled. You think the city will escalate? If those trees were a flood barrier, they have to. And if it's worse, a pause, then it goes federal. Monday morning, I'd assembled everything. Photos, video, soil logs, ordinances highlighted in neon. Marched into HOA headquarters, not yelling, just cold facts. Unauthorized tree removal on my property. Watershed destabilization. Multiple code violations. City inspector arrives this afternoon. Within a minute, Linda and the board appeared, still clutching those clipboards. Is this theatrics necessary? She said. You trespassed. Destroyed protected vegetation. Let's talk consequences. She tried to bluster. We exercise covenant authority. You exercised authority you don't have. I laid out evidence. Erosion started the next day. Will be a river after the next rain. She flicked the photos away. We acted for the good of the community. I slid the municipal ordinance across. You needed a removal permit and environmental review. You obtained neither. Rick shifted uncomfortably. I pressed. You told the crew the trees were diseased. They weren't. You lied. Douglas started. Now wait. No, you wait. You'll be explaining this to the city, then the county, then the feds. Linda tried to throw me out. I just gathered my papers and walked. Behind me, the board erupted in panicked voices. That afternoon, the rain came. Not a dramatic storm, just a soaking, patient rain that most folks ignore. But not me. 10 minutes in, I saw subsidence near the stumps, tiny channels forming, mud bleeding downhill. By the time the inspector arrived, the slope was already sliding. "This isn't a code ticket," he said. "This is a watershed event. Filing emergency report. This goes to county, maybe state. And if that walkway fails," he didn't finish. Didn't need to. Federal water had started telling the truth. Inspector Graves issued a stabilization order on the spot called Linda. "This is city compliance. I require immediate access for violation notification. Meet me at the clubhouse in 10, or be cited for obstruction." We met the board under Linda's garish orange umbrella. "Imminent threat," Graves said. "It's not alarmist. It's physics." Douglas snorted. "It's just rain. Rain doesn't carve inch-deep channels in an hour unless someone removed the only thing holding the hill together." Annette's voice broke. "Is it dangerous?" "If left alone, soil slippage, property damage, possible walkway collapse." I played the audio. Linda's voice. "Continue." "You're authorized." Graves nodded. "Decision made. This is going to county, state, maybe federal." The slope kept moving. By the next morning, the county was there, then the feds, black SUVs, jackets with patches, serious faces. "Special Agent Rohr, Federal Flood Management Task Force. We're here to assess before the slope lets go. 7 hardwoods gone, no permits. HOA work order." "Who authorized?" "The board." Rohr just shook his head. "Get me their permits." I told him. "There aren't any." He gave me a nod, one engineer to another. Linda tried to protest, voice shaking. "Federal involvement for trees? This is ridiculous." Rohr's tone was level. "Those trees were preventing collapse. If the walkway fails, your HOA pays every cent." Then came the shout, a crack in the walkway, water bleeding through. "It's moving." "It's failing," Rohr said. "Temporary stabilization now. This is under joint county and federal observation." Linda looked ready to faint. The feds never left. Crews swarmed the slope, tripods and tape everywhere. Neighbors whispered, watched from behind curtains. Panic set in for the board. 4 days later, Agent Rohr called a special meeting. He didn't sit, just opened a thick folder. "As of 9:43 this morning, Mr. Hale's property and the hillside are a federal flood control buffer under direct oversight." The silence was so thick, I could hear the clock ticking. Linda tried to protest. "You can't seize control." "It's not your property," Rohr said. "It's a federal buffer. You lost the right to touch it the moment you fired up those chainsaws." They signed the violation forms, hands shaking. Rohr looked at me. "Federal intervention protects your property and guarantees restoration." Then to the board. "You ignored warnings, expertise, the land itself. Now it's under federal protection because of you." By dusk, the whole neighborhood knew. Yellow signs, danger tape, government trucks. Residents crowded the clubhouse lawn, questions flying, anger boiling over. "Do the feds really just take part of our neighborhood? You lied to us. You put our homes at risk. You told us the trees were diseased. You lied." Someone shouted, "Step down." The chant swelled, "Step down, step down," till it shook the windows. Linda pleaded. We were trying to help the community look better. I stepped forward, didn't need to yell. Helping means listening. You never listened. Her arrogance was gone. In its place was fear, real, gut-deep fear. Then another crack from the walkway, and Rohr announced, "The lower walkway is closed. Permanently, until stabilization is complete. All costs on the HOA." By Friday, the vote to remove the board was held under the gazebo. Record turnout. Ballots counted in minutes. 148 to remove, 6 to retain. Not cheers, just a long, collective exhale. The new board apologized to me on the spot. I just wanted the truth spoken out loud. Tonight the community took its voice back. Don't let it be silenced again. Restoration happened fast and relentless. Diesel engines, helicopters dropping saplings, federal contractors everywhere. I was the on-site authority. HOA paid for every inch. Neighbors brought coffee and casseroles. Maya came by, city badge still on, and said, "Full restoration, not patching." County pushed it. Feds signed off. Cost north of 8 figures. 2 days later, The old board tried a private apology, offered compensation. I refused. I want accountability, in public, on record, at every level. They hung their heads and I walked out. Deposition took 4 hours. Attorneys, county, federal investigators, court reporter, and me. Every photo, every recording. The Fed said, "In 25 years, I've never seen a citizen hand us a case this complete." That was all the victory I needed. When the report dropped, it named the board, recommended restitution, personal fines, permanent bans. Lawsuits piled up. Linda moved 3 states away. The HOA dissolved, reborn under a new name, no architectural control, no vegetation removal, permanent hail slope maintenance fund. Spring came. The slope was reborn, terraced and thick with new growth. 7 towering oaks where the old ones had stood. I placed 7 bronze plaques, in memory of the tree that held this hill. May it hold for 100 more. Agent Roar, off duty, nodded approval. Deep roots. Good choice. Oversight ends next month, but the land's mine again. Somewhere in the distance, a kid's laugh echoed from the new climbing tree. They tried to erase my land, my voice, 20 years of roots. In the end, the land chose who listened. Every April now, someone leaves wildflowers at the base of my daughter's tree. No note, no name. The neighborhood remembers without being told. I still walk the slope every morning. The ground is rich, alive, held fast by roots that run deep. Sometimes I rest my hand on that new tree and whisper, "I kept my promise." The answer comes back steady, unshakable. They try to take my trees, my voice, my story. But stories don't end when someone swings a chainsaw. They end when the roots win. And these roots, they've only just begun. So let me ask you, if it was your land, your trees, your voice, how far would you go to protect it? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about what justice really means.